I know.
Yeah, well, I'll try
Yes.
and explain a little bit how it's easier for maths teachers coming from abroad to understand the Swedish way of assessment.
Okay, great.
But we have your head of department will guide you. Francisca,
Great.
she's very experienced, she can help you. But
Wonderful.
also we have what we call academic managers in both junior and senior school.
Okay.
And it's their role to help the international staff, because we're about 50% international staff. And
Perfect.
it's Alex's role, he'll help you as well. So he will run little workshops for new staff.
Wonderful.
And he'll help you about how to assess. Especially if you're a new teacher, we'd also put you on what we call a mentorship program. We do a little bit of extra support.
Wonderful.
Maybe it might be with the head of department or somebody within the school. Just somebody else you can go and ask, feel that you get advice from. If you want to pop in and see them teach, that sort of thing. Or if you want them to come in and say, do you want to come in and see me teach for this class? What do you think? So just
So great.
your first year in terms of teaching as well. So we do what we call a basic sort of mentorship program for new teachers.
I love that. That's great.
All right, okay. In terms of you as a teacher, how would your students describe you when you've been doing your teaching practice and experience? What type of teacher are you?
Sure. No, a lot of my students described me as an enthusiastic teacher, which I thought was funny. But we have, I love both, I'm qualified to teach both math and science, and I'm very passionate about both subjects. I love, personally, I love to learn and I love to gain new knowledge in both of their subject areas, and I think it shows when I teach. Because I get excited about the information that I'm giving these students, and I find that it helps engage them and it helps make the connection to real life. If I'm excited about it, then they can get more excited about it for sure. So I think that's one of those words that would definitely describe me.
Good. What about in terms of your colleagues? If you're going to work with other people, we obviously work quite closely in groups.
Sure.
This year, the maths department, there's a lot of changes. We've got a new head of department. We've got 2 other new international staff coming in. So there's quite a lot of new people. You'll have to work as a team. Do you like challenges like that, new situations?
I love it. I thrive off of that. I took a StrengthsFinder test, and one of my top strengths is that I love to develop relationships with other people. And so I love getting to know people well, and I really love the fact that you all have a mentorship program, especially as a new teacher. I feel like that could be very, very useful, and also just as a international guest in your country, I feel like that will be a very, very helpful situation. And so I'm looking forward to developing relationships and to helping other teachers, and to continue to bring new ideas to the table, but at the same time receiving that feedback from others too. That sounds great.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, we have already have quite a few members of staff here from the United States, from different parts, from different states.
Yes.
In terms of new members of staff, I've got one English teacher, Tiffany, coming in. She's actually been teaching abroad. She's been in South Korea, so I can't remember where in the States she is. She's been there, I think, for about 2 years, but she's coming to teach English here for us. But otherwise, I've got probably about 7 or 8 members of staff from the States, from music teachers to English teachers to maths teachers, different departments in the junior and senior schools. So I think you'll feel comfortable in terms of people you can relate to from your own part of the world as well.
Great.
We have Canadians, we have Brits like myself, we have from Ireland and Australia and New Zealand.
That is so cool.
Germany and Spain and France, teaching their languages and that type of thing. And of course we have lots of lovely Swedes teaching the subjects that we teach.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's a nice mix. We do support staff to learn a little bit of Swedish, because even though it's very easy here, a lot of the Swedes speak excellent English, and if they hear you're from the States, they'll want to speak to you in English and know all about you.
Right.
The novelty can wear off after a year or two, so if you're planning on maybe staying and want to really get to know Sweden and the Swedish people, we encourage people to learn a little bit of Swedish. So we offer Swedish classes after school.
That is very cool.
And then the government are very good. They run 3 evening classes. So some of our staff start off at the beginner's course knowledge building. We do very well. Our students are very motivated, but they're still teenagers.
Sure.
So we do have our policy, what we call tough love, where we give them some structure and some boundaries, and that they realise that there are consequences if they break them. So we have what we call a behaviour notice system. So if a student breaks a rule, there are consequences. Their mentor gets to know, and then eventually their parents if they break a rule a few times.
Okay.
They're also very basic. They're typical things like not having a mobile phone on in school,
Sure.
and not having not having sort of headphones on or anything like that. We believe that school is a working environment, and we expect our teachers to be role models and to help coach our students to realise that they want a nice, calm learning environment in school.
Sure.
They're obviously teenagers here in senior school, so sometimes they do need a little bit of coaching, and that means that we have to be, as I said, role models. We have to get them to realise that these rules are there for them and for their best.
Sure.
How do you feel about that role? Can you be sort of firm and friendly rather than friendly? It's hard sometimes coming in as a young teacher. Have you had any experience of that? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. I have had some experience in that. I know I worked with elementary age, but I also worked with our middle school age, which is 11 to 14, 15 or so. And so I have had experience just, disciplining in the classroom, but also a lot of redirecting and just reminders for students. And I have no problem with that. I think those sort of systems are necessary in a school system, especially with teenagers, like you said. And so I think that's part of a teacher's role, and I'm very willing to take that on.
Okay, super. That sounds great. We do run some extra activities, extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Sometimes some of them come from the States, some of them come from the UK. We are quite a mixture of traditions within.
I can imagine.
In school. So graduation is very American style, and we have a yearbook, which is something that's obviously we brought from the idea from the States. We have that at our school. When it comes to some of the sports, maybe sometimes it's one of the girls maybe runs some cheerleading, or they do some different American style football or that type of thing.
So fun.
Sometimes you'll have English type things, like we have a rugby team, and my staff from New Zealand runs that. So and then we have the Swedish tradition. So we're a little bit of a mixture depending on people's interests and culture. So
that's super exciting.
Yeah. In terms of moving to Stockholm, it's a lovely city. It's on the water. It's very easy to travel around in Europe from Stockholm. The hardest thing really is finding somewhere to live. It's quite difficult to find an apartment from abroad. You really need to be in Stockholm to find one.
Okay.
To have a little bit of patience and a little bit of you have to be a little bit stubborn and keep looking and keep looking.
Okay.
What happens in Sweden is they